After I say I'm Leanna and I'm telling you about the do's, you'll say I'm Cynthia and I'm telling you about the don'ts. Okay. Hi, Rachel. I just did that to scare someone if their name is Rachel. My name is Leanna, and today we're going to be telling you about the do's and don'ts that we've learned while selling on Redbubble. They've applied to us, but I think they're pretty universal, so I wanted to tell you just about a few do's and a few don'ts. And I'm going to be telling you about the do's. And I'm Cynthia Papadopoulos, and I'm going to be telling you about the don'ts. Let's get to it.
Do it!
Do number 1. Get inspired in authentic ways. Try and pull from life around you, whether you're going for a walk in a park and you see a tree and it reminds you of something else that you could make into a sticker, or whether you're noticing something in pop culture that's a trend. And try to take notes and put them on your phone. I've realized that can be kind of helpful because you'll look back on it and then you might get other ideas and it'll kind of branch off from the tree. No pun intended, but you can end up finding out that a trend has a niche within it, or a niche becomes a trend, and you can play around with that. There are definitely pros and cons to working with a niche or playing around with a trend, and you'd be surprised when you look at an idea you wrote down with fresh eyes, the new ideas that you can get from it. So just try to get inspired authentically instead of just maybe getting inspired off someone's work. Go for a walk in a park, you'd be surprised what you end up seeing. That might have sounded kind of weird, but you get it.
No! God, please, no! No!
Don't number 1. I bet you guessed what it's gonna be. Don't use brand names, and especially don't use anything if part of it is not your work at all, unless there was something you purchased and you got the rights to sell it on merch. But that's more of a rare occurrence, so unless you did that, just stay away from it. Brand names, celebrities, just try to stay away from it. If you are gonna make content relevant to something that's branded or copyrighted, try to be more just vague with it. Maybe go with a silhouette. If you're going to do it, just be more careful and make sure it's your own take on something. Make sure it was just inspired by that thing. And you definitely can go in that route. If you see something that is copyrighted, just think about it longer. Try not to be as direct with that actual subject or quote, maybe. I've been guilty of making those mistakes before, and in many cases it didn't even sell, and I just took it down. And I was kind of embarrassed, honestly. So I just don't even really try to tread in that territory anymore. It can be tempting, but you'd be surprised how much you can literally just get other ideas from it. For example, people will draw Mario Badescu facial spray or a Zoom University logo, and yes, it is your take on it, but if you're really gonna go in that direction, just try to be more discreet.
That might sound a little weird,
but instead of doing Mario Badescu facial spray, get inspired, maybe do a whole like makeup pack and just make it generic. Don't use his name, but maybe it'll look kind of similar, but it's just not worth being that direct. Make it more your own, and that way you don't have to worry. Otherwise, just try to focus on brands that are in the partner program. You can easily just Google Redbubble partner program. I know there's TV shows like Schitt's Creek, etc. There's a lot of them that allow it. So just see what they allow and then run with that. Otherwise, be yourself. I think when it comes to creativity, generic is your friend. If you're really disappointed that you can't do this certain thing, do it, but don't throw names on it.
Just do it!
Do number 2. Put time into tags. This reminds me a lot of meditation. Hear me out. It's that thing that seems kind of pointless and tedious and annoying in the beginning, but it's actually incredibly beneficial in the long term. But you might start to overthink it or find it frustrating, when in reality you may just need some help.
Stop it. Get some help.
Whether that's a tag generator or guided meditation. See, they're very similar things. Whether you just need to give it time, or just think about the subject for a little bit and take notes on your own, or use a generator online, just do what you can, but make sure you're putting some time into it because it will pay off. And if you do make another design similar,
another one,
you can utilize those same tags and get that same benefit. So even if you're gonna do it once with kind of a certain subject and maybe pull from it later, it's definitely beneficial. And maybe meditate while you're at it. Don't number 2. Don't compare your success or sales to anyone else in any way, shape, or form. Almost all of my anxiety stems from comparison and wishing I was this or wishing I was that, and my mental health is just fine, but just don't do it. Don't look at numbers, especially other people's, because all it does is, at least for me, make me anxious. and make me forget about my success personally. I'm incredibly excited and proud of my Redbubble journey, but once I start to think about someone else and their success, I'm instantly like, oh, okay. Aww. Which is irrational and terrible. So stay away from that and you're gonna end up getting that much more pumped about yourself. You know, racetracks in high school or college or whatever, I tend to end up subconsciously picturing myself on a racetrack with people around me. We're running together and they're lapping me, and it's not mentally healthy. It's kind of a sad, dark metaphor. Only let other creators inspire you. Let it start and end with inspiration. It may seem obvious, but it's something I sometimes have to repeat to myself in the mirror 10 times. Don't compare yourself to others, don't compare yourself to others, don't compare yourself to others, don't compare yourself. So I thought maybe someone else might want to hear it. Do number 3, mark up your products. I at least make sure to mark up on stickers because if someone wants a design on a sticker and that's the only place they're gonna get that design, they're gonna be okay with paying 20 to 50 cents more. And just do it within reason. Don't be too extreme about it, but you'd be surprised what's okay, especially if you're proud of your work and you think it's worth a little bit more. That's why Redbubble allows you to make those changes, and it's nice that you can differ it based on the product. It starts at 10%, but I've marked up my stickers to 45%, and I've marked up some other products a little bit as well. And I think that's pretty common, especially with stickers. People definitely mark them up. And that is a mistake some people might make in the beginning. You'll make sales, but it's technically not as much as you probably deserve. So give it a little boost within reason. With mine, I marked it up to 45%, which makes a sticker $3.02, and technically I get 94 cents per sticker, but that has very rarely happened, if ever, because people almost always buy multiple at once. So it goes up, but obviously people are still, getting their own discount. Just make sure to take into account what you think people would be okay with spending. When it comes to something bigger, I don't really think maybe it's as worth it to mark it up as much. So just do it within reason, but know that sometimes people are okay with paying a little bit more if it's a good product. There's construction happening outside. And I'm really proud of not going crazy right now. Beep, beep, beep. Don't number 3. Don't do Redbubble if you don't like art or are not an artist. That may seem painfully obvious, but some money-hungry people need to hear it. Honestly, it's beneficial for these people too. These people need to find something they love that isn't art. I guarantee there's something that you love that you could go full on authentically with. But if you're not an artist or don't like art, probably don't do it. Probably don't do it. There's something out there for everyone. It's a big world. And you don't need to even call yourself an artist. Basically just make sure you like art. And then you pretty much are an artist. You can call yourself whatever you want to be. I didn't even consider using that noun until a few months ago, because I always feel like a poser. Cynthia, your hair looks really shiny. Is that a wig? No. Do number 4. This might not apply to every artist, but something I've learned in my time is that typography designs can be really beneficial. It's ideal if it's your own handwriting, but there are plenty of fonts on DaFont or Font Squirrel, etc. that are okay with you using them. It's going to be labeled next to them, what's okay to use and what's not. But you can try a subject matter and maybe just do something like an original quote, or play around with just a word, draw it on your own, or use type. And if that does really well, maybe spend more time doing something a little bit more elaborate. So this is a little bit more of a personal one, and it just depends on your type of art that you like to do, but it's something to keep in mind if you want to try something out that maybe takes a little bit less time, but you can see what people are interested in. If a sticker of the phrase, "I really like plants," sells really well, make a plant sticker. That was a terrible example, I'm sorry. If there's a quote about happiness or inspiration, maybe bring it over to the smiley faces and the rainbows. That's for you to decide. But inspiration comes in all shapes and forms, and I think sometimes words can give you a little head start, kick. I didn't finish that sentence great, but off to Cynthia. Don't number 4. Don't put designs and sticker packs too close together. It's a lot more common than people might think. And I mean a lot more common. So just make sure you're looking at your designs. Even if you have to upload it a couple times, it probably will just take once to see where you're at and then alter it a little bit. You don't want it incredibly spread out. You want it to be able to be as close as possible, but just make sure that there's gonna be that amount of room to make them all separate designs. And in regards to formatting, make sure you are putting a lot of effort into spacing and how things look on products. That's honestly my least favorite part. I hate going in and altering all the products, unless there's a new design I made that I'm really excited about. But admittedly, like my shower mats don't sell as much.
I think I meant to say never.
So formatting it feels kind of pointless, but you'd be surprised. If someone buys it, it'll be worth it. So whether it's a pattern or just a design, use discretion and just make sure that it's gonna look good on that product. In many cases, it doesn't maybe work on a shirt, and that's okay. But slap it on a shirt if you think it could be purchased on a shirt. I don't think I've ever sold a dress. Of course, I never enable it on dresses. See, I'm in the wrong. I need to make sure to enable it on whatever might work. My dad has a sticker of a cat nurse, and he sells it, I think, on various products. You never know what people want, you guys. I'm so glad I finished the sentence right before that motorcycle went by. Do number 5. Post a lot. Post consistently. Don't worry about your Redbubble followers calling you out on just barfing a bunch of content, because it was their choice to follow you, and I don't think it's that common that people are like monitoring it that much, and I'm sure people aren't really worried about that anyway. But just make sure to keep posting, keep flexing the muscle. Like I've said before, balance quality and quantity, but don't just put a few things up and then wait. Make sure to continue putting things up, and that's something I need to make sure to do as well. Also, enable your designs on as many products as possible and try to position them to be as aesthetically pleasing as possible. If it's not gonna work on a product, that's fine, but just try to enable them as much as possible. In many cases, stickers might sell a little easier because it's gonna be cheaper, but try to enable it on as much as you can. Get inspired, do what you have to do, go skydiving, go Rocky Mountain climbing, 2.7 seconds on a bull named Fu Manchu, then come back to your laptop, grab your tablet, etc., whatever you need, and flex your creative muscle. Don't number 5. This is relevant to Redbubble, but also relevant to other websites. There are things like Society6, TeePublic, Etsy. Society6 and TeePublic are very similar to Redbubble, but Etsy. Don't sleep on these other sites if you're interested in them, especially because a lot of people might be more into shipping and executing that stuff on their own and making that profit on their own. So don't sleep on those other sites. I learned the term sleep on 7 months or so ago, and I keep using it because I don't know, it kind of works in many cases.
Don't sleep on Etsy.
I personally would go nuts if I had to ship all my own stuff just because I have other things going on right now, but consider it, seriously, because there are different things you can utilize. Even if you don't have like a Cricut cutter for stickers, you can find ways to order them or print them on your own paper, and then you can execute that shipping and those sales on your own. Etsy takes a lot smaller of a portion because you're doing the work of shipping and execution there, but obviously it's a luxury when it comes to Redbubble. But don't forget about those other sites. That's one of my main things, because some people do want to maybe take on those other aspects and make that much more money. So just consider all those things. Hey, you found a 5th don't. Yeah, see, I was gonna make the 5th don't execute a video without coming up with a 5th don't, like as a joke, because I did that. But I came up with an actual 5th don't. I see what you were considering doing. It's clever, but kind of stupid, and I'm glad you found an actual 5th don't. Thank you. Honestly, it was tricky to come up with don'ts. I think Leanna had it a lot easier coming up with the do's, because there's a wide array of things you can do when it comes to Redbubble. But I managed to come up with 5 don'ts, and I'm sure there are others out there. If someone has more don'ts, put them in the comments below. If someone has more do's, put them in the comments below. Thank you guys so much for watching. We're probably gonna say that again, but I just wanted to say it before Leanna does.
No, you can do it.
This has been Cynthia telling you about the don'ts of Redbubble. If you're still watching, comment below Papadopoulos. If you guys like this, give it a like, possibly subscribe, and possibly turn on notifications, and we'll see you next time. Bye! You can either do on the actual, no. I know there's TV shows like beneficial to make a very more original note, and then you can execute